What caused him to awake? Sarah wondered, hearing the large man stomping down each step as he closed the gap between the two. Sarah's pulse began to race. She waited, not knowing what was to happen next. Hello, you are listening to In My Words. The book I am reading from is titled The Monster We Call Dad by D.A. Riles. This book is not intended for young readers. After each reading session, I will show or discuss a various topic of interest. Leaving a comment will help my videos get noticed more and allow other people to view them. Also, purchasing one or all three of my books will be very helpful. My newest book is out, titled The Sensitives. You can find it at Amazon.com under The Sensitives by D.A. Riles. Thank you for your time and consideration. Poochie had come into their lives when Sarah was 9. She was a great dog. She had brown and white wavy hair. She almost never barked. As Poochie learned the rules of the house and who was boss, she tried not to make the master of the house angry. Hiding as soon as he came into the room, Poochie wanted to stay out of his direct anger. When the children came home from school, it was a different story. Poochie liked being around the ones that loved her. Many times Sarah would seek Poochie out if she didn't see her when she came home from school, for she liked playing with her puppy. Dad, at that time, didn't believe in spaying or neutering animals, so Poochie had become pregnant twice. But after the second pregnancy, Dad changed his mind. Yet, for little Poochie, she had to put up with his extreme abuses, whether she was pregnant or not. The first time Poochie became pregnant, no one really seemed to notice the difference in her appearance. Then, one day after Sarah had come home from school, the growing girl went to look for the little dog. Spying her at the top of the basement steps, Poochie's tail was wagging more quickly than usual. Poochie wanted Sarah to follow her down to the basement. The dog seemed to be acting differently. As the two approached the bottom of the steps, Poochie trotted across the floor, with her head held high. She led Sarah to the light green blanket, which was laying on the cold, hard cement floor. Poochie seemed pleased with herself. She seemed happy about something. Pushing the blanket with her nose, the proud mama wagged her tail even more. Sarah could hear sounds coming from the blanket. Carefully she pulled apart the scrunched bundle and looked inside. "Puppies!" Sarah squealed as she opened the center of the blanket. The little girl was so happy that Poochie had puppies. She didn't know why Poochie was hiding her puppies, but she didn't care. She was happy about what the little dog was showing her. Sitting down next to the blanket, Sarah lifted each puppy up one at a time, checking to see if they were okay. Their eyes were still closed. They smelled so good to her. Sarah was smiling to her dog, talking softly, saying, "What a good girl. You're a mommy now." Poochie happily romped around Sarah. While the young girl was looking at the puppies, Dad woke up and came downstairs. What caused him to awake? Sarah wondered, hearing the large man stomping down each step as he closed the gap between the two. Sarah's pulse began to race. She waited, not knowing what was to happen next. Poochie pulled at the child's sleeve, signifying her to put the puppy down, which she held in her hand. The younger girl obliged. The protective mother covered her new bundles back up with the blanket. The puppies started to whimper. Dad was suddenly there, standing tall, looming over her. He didn't look happy. He had a mad face on. "What the F is going on down here?" came the deep command from Dad's throat. Sarah looked up and didn't know what to say. Hearing the whimpering, Dad bent down, grabbed the blanket roughly, and then stood tall as he uncovered the puppies. Poochie started to growl. Dad kicked Poochie across the room. Sarah squeaked a small sound of fear. She didn't want Poochie to be hurt. She didn't like it when Dad went away and the monster came. Sarah wanted to get up and check on Poochie, but Dad placed a hand on the top of her head and held her in place. After Sarah settled down, Dad inspected the blanket more thoroughly. The innocent puppies lay inside. "What the F?" Dad exclaimed. "Poochie had puppies," Sarah replied quietly. "Too bad," Dad smirked. Holding the light green blanket with one hand, the monster allowed it to open. The innocent newborn puppies fell to the hard cement floor as yips came from their tiny mouths. Unable to stop her words, Sarah said with blinding tears and childlike innocence as she gazed up into her father's eyes, "You hurt the puppies," she cried. A choking sob came deep from her throat as she questioned with heartbreak and bitterness, "Why did you do that?" Seeing the large, stoic man looming over her, she waited for a response, not realizing the danger she was placing upon herself. Sarah's young mind was unable to understand why her dad would cause harm to something which could not defend itself and had done nothing wrong but to be born into this world. The possibility of retribution hadn't crossed Sarah's mind when she spoke her words. Continuing her gaze upon Dad's face as she waited for the answer, Sarah saw the monster fight with Dad. It seemed to become stuck in mid-creation. Looking down at the small child, the monster tried to comprehend the rebellious, determined child sitting at his feet. Dad didn't want the monster to come out. The monster balled up its fists. Dad would push back and unball them. His body began to squirm from within. Torture pain flitted in as quickly as it left. Minutes had passed as Dad began to tire from the endless struggle of the two beings. Puzzled by the intensity of its own self and Dad's inner turmoil, the monster looked at Sarah. Dad looked at Sarah. Seeing his young daughter's tears and heartbreak, which filled her glistening green eyes, Dad came back, and the monster ebbed. Turning quickly on his heel, Dad plodded up the stairs and went back to bed, not understanding what had just taken place only moments ago. "Why did Dad do that?" she questioned to herself. "They didn't do anything wrong." Slowly, Sarah's tears streamed down her reddened face as she carefully put the 5 puppies back onto the blanket. Poochie limped over to Sarah and her puppies. Looking up from her sorrow, Sarah petted the small dog as it passed by her. Poochie was going to check on her puppies to see if any harm had come to them. After thoroughly sniffing each puppy, Sarah saw Poochie wag her tail. Carefully, Sarah helped the small brown and white dog recover the puppies with the blanket. Placing the bundle next to her, Sarah took Poochie into her arms and hugged her. Poochie closed her eyes and fell asleep on the small child's lap. Sarah sat with Poochie and her puppies until the rest of her siblings came home. She never understood why the monster had come. Why couldn't Dad stay all the time? Please like, share, and subscribe. I look forward to having you join me again next time, where I will show another topic, and I will continue to read from the book titled The Monster We Call Dad by D.A. Riles, which you can purchase from Amazon.com. My newest book is out, titled The Sensitives. You can find it at Amazon.com under The Sensitives by D.A. Riles. Thank you for having joined me.